right? But like, would I have ever gotten there had I not been humiliated, had I not been shamed, had I not struggled, and had I not failed?
Stop blaming, stop blaming. That's the problem with excuses. People, and they don't blame themselves. They don't go, this is too hard for me.
Because I know what success looks like and how you get it and how it's garnered is through suffering and failure and shame.
You can sit there and go, blame somebody else is going to drag me forward to do it. People will try, but you still have to make that move. You still have to go forward and go, I want to get through this now, I'm going to go.
One of the biggest mistakes I see in people trying to become successful is the avoidance of failure. But to become successful, we must learn from our mistakes. We must learn from our failures. In fact, the most successful people in the world seek failure. They live on the edge of failure because it's at that point that you learn and grow. Today, we speak to Tim Kennedy and Billy Billingham, two guys who know exactly what it is to face their fears and, more importantly, face their failures and learn from them. Today's video was sponsored by Mulliganbrothers.com, where you can now get the Not a Journal, a journal that I designed myself. It is a no bullshit approach to journaling, where on one side you get stuff done every single day and you tick it off. The other side you take your notes and then you affirm every single week, month and yearly goal every day, so you know exactly what you're working towards. This is the way journaling should be done. That's why I designed it. If you follow the link in the description, you can get ready for 2023 with the www.mulliganbrothers.com down below, where all the profits go back into creating this content. But before that, facing failures with Billy Billingham and Tim Kennedy. Let's jump into it.
So straight in at like the early days of your life. So this again helps with being able to tell the story. Like, where did you grow up? For someone like us, like Brits, how would you describe that place growing up?
So I grew up in Central California, and when you hear California, you're like, oh, I was a surfer, were you like in Hollywood? No, I grew up in the central part, which is 4 hours from San Francisco and 4 hours from Los Angeles, and it's all wine, and it's all agriculture, and it's all cows, and all I grew up doing was fixing fence and fighting with people on the farms. Like, that was my life. Yes, we could go to the beach when we weren't working, but the back was burnt from being in the sun. You had all these little cuts from hay. You know, your hands were always calloused and trashed from fixing fences. And you had to speak crappy Spanglish because everybody that you worked with was Mexican. And like that's how I grew up. This generation, they see an Instagram photo and they see somebody standing on top of Mount Everest. Picturesque, right? It looks like they're nearly in space. And man, so cool. Top of Everest, top of the world, right? What they didn't see was the training of crotch rot, where that person's sweating, you know, in lower altitudes and heat, and you know, getting the bottom of their feet falling off from gross water immersion and exposure, where they have like chunks of their face and neck that are just falling off from the cold weather, or their nose, which is partially missing. They don't see any of that stuff. They just see a single moment. So I think the two most compelling things that shape a person are failure and shame. And my life is packed with shame and failure. I'm not saying you have to rush to failure, but people are so scared of failure now. And you hear all these same things, like Michael Jordan would have scored so many points had he not taken all those shots. Or Babe Ruth wouldn't have hit all those home runs unless he stepped up to the plate. And they're all so irritating because they're all so cliche. But they were there, right? They did strike out. They did fail. They were like not even considered to come on and play for their high school team because they weren't good enough. And every one of those moments, if you go back to me as a baby, where the doctor's looking at me and he's saying to my parents, you have a heart murmur so terrible, we either have to do surgery or you're gonna be a decrepit child for the rest of your life. That was me as a baby. My parents were torn between this decision. So as for me, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I was the smallest, I was the weakest. And there was a period of time where I'm like, kind of prepubescent, where my brother, who's a giant and an athlete, and his body definitely didn't ever have to struggle. The game was, can we get Tim in the pool? That was the game. he and his friends would pick me up and try to carry me and throw me in the pool. And they were able to do this for like a year. And then it was a fight, and they'd end up kind of bloody. And then the next year, it was 2 or 3 of them ended up in the pool. And then by the time I'm 12, they're missing fingers, there's chunks of their cheek that's off. I am dry and half of them are in the water, right? But like, would I have ever gotten there had I not been humiliated, had I not been shamed, had I not struggled, and had I not failed, had I not been in the drink? Even go back to a kid again where I'd crawl over and I'd jump in the pool. My first memory ever that I can remember is being in the water, looking up at my dad, who's standing over me as he's letting me stay in the drink to drown. I find out later that was like the 5th time that I crawled over and jumped into the pool, and he grabbed me, crawled over, jumped again. And he's like, I'm just gonna leave him there for a little bit. So he left me there, and the only way I learned to not drown was by my dad leaving me in there for a few more seconds. He's not gonna let me drown, he's not gonna let me get hurt. But the only way that me, who I am as a person, would learn was through failure and through suffering. It is so important. And now in 2022, where everybody wants comfortable and everyone, we're complacent. Hard men make good times make weak men make hard times. Like we're living that. We're like, man, I want hard men. I want people that are fierce, passionate people. And because I know what success looks like and how you get it and how it's garnered is through suffering and failure and shame.
Doing something. So what about talking about something?
Talk's cheap, innit? I could have, I should have. Listen, I should have been the world fucking champion boxer. The reason I wasn't was because I weren't good enough. But I can talk about it. Listen, if you want to be something, go out and do it, or try and do it at least. And even if and I always say this, you're setting my goal at being a world champion boxer. I'm going for it. No way am I going to meet it. But you know what? I won a Staffordshire title, and I won that title. I did a lot better than I thought I would do, because I went for it. So don't talk about it, do it.
Another one I'd just like you to talk on, because you're good at talking through and you've got a way of words, is excuses and people making excuses.
Listen, you get a million excuses. I don't want a million excuses, I want one result. Keep your excuses to yourself and just produce the results, because excuses don't make results. And I see it all the time. I always see with the big guys who are struggling. All of a sudden, oh, my trousers are too tight. My boots are not Nike. You're like, shut the fuck up. Stop blaming. Stop blaming. That's the problem with excuses. People, and they don't blame themselves. They don't go, this is too hard for me, which is the truth. They blame their kit, somebody else, you because you're shouting at them. Nonsense. Stop the excuses, okay? Results are what matter. And that result is not the fact that you've now broke a world record. The fact is you've gone a little bit, you've stepped over the start line. There's the result, that's the result. And that's all I'm talking about. And we can all do that. You know what it is? There's an old saying, get comfortable with being uncomfortable. I wouldn't agree with that. I fucking hate being uncomfortable. But in order to get achievements, it generally means being uncomfortable. And you've got that energy in your tank and that drive to do it. Just use it. Break through it. It doesn't matter. Like getting in that water this morning, I ain't gonna, it's cold. I know it's cold, but I'm gonna get in it. Because I can. I can, and I also have a choice. I can or I can't. Like I said, there ain't no can't. I can, so I'm gonna do it. And everybody's got the saying, no matter what it is. You've got it in there. You have got it in you. Everybody has. There's no excuses. Whether you've got a disease, whether you've got a problem, whether you've got a mental problem, you have. You've just got to go through it, but you've got to make the first move. Because no one else knows what's inside your head. No one. You have got to say to yourself, I cannot sit in this pity party. You can sit in there and go, blame somebody else is going to drag me forward to do it. People will try, but you still have to make that fucking move. You still have to go forward and go, I want to get through this now, I'm going to go. So everybody, that's what you got to go. You got to say, this is not comfortable. I've got to get through it, and it's a passage in time. It's like anything, you know, we've all been through that roller coaster of, oh, I've got a load of money now, now I've got nothing. Now I've got a bit of money, now I've got nothing. Now I'm feeling fit, now I ain't fit. Now I'm in a great relationship, now everybody hates me. It's a passage in time. It'll keep coming and keep going. But you've got to make the first move. Get out the pity party, because the only one in the pity party is you, and go forward. Take that bite and go, it. And it ain't going to be easy, and it's going to be painful, but it's going to be worth it.
Thank you so much to Billy. Thank you so much to Tim. I'm really actually excited to announce we're working with Billy Billingham at the moment on an exciting project. We've got something coming in the pipeline, and we hope to deliver that content to you guys, obviously, as always, for free of charge, where you can get these amazing lessons from the YouTube channel, and more importantly, from Billy. Billy Billingham is doing a tour of the UK at the moment, so go check the link down below where you can see some of the tour dates. A lot of those tickets are sold out now, but go check it out down below. I personally am a massive advocate of facing your fears of failure. And I had a basketball coach one time, and this was the biggest lesson I ever received as a kid. And I was playing basketball, and we were doing waist wraparounds, wrapping the ball around our knees, wrapping the ball around our ankles, around our head. And we used to run this drill all the time. And our coach eventually pulled us all aside and said, "You're all doing this wrong." And we were doing it fast. And he said to us, "If none of you are losing the ball, you're doing this wrong. I want you to pass that ball around your body so fast that at some point you lose it, because that is where the growth is going to be. And you're pushing the limits." And honestly, throughout that session, I mean, balls were flying absolutely everywhere, but everybody was at least twice as fast. And it's because we were pushing it to the point where we weren't scared to fail. He gave us the ability to fail. He said, "I accept you losing the ball. It's not about being perfect. It's about seeking the failure." And ever since then, that's what I do. Live on the edge of failure. So whenever you do something in life, there's a time and a place for it. In the practice, in the gym, you know, in the planning, that is where you seek failure. And for me, it's something I live by, and it's something that's led to extreme growth for me. And within our company, we always expect a little bit of failure. We always live on the edge of failure, and we try to mitigate it as much as possible, but we still push forward on that every single day. And I can't recommend it enough. Today's video was made possible by Mulliganbrothers.com, where you can get ready to 2023 with a new Not a Journal. It's a journal that I designed. It's how I have journaled for my whole life, and it's a list of getting stuff done on one side. It's notes on the other side. It's affirming your goals for the month, the year, the day, the week, every single day. And it's dateless, but you can select the date at the top. And look, this for me is how I have done stuff for the last 6 or 7 years. I used to do it in my own. I'd write that out exactly as that is in that journal, and I cannot explain how much it helped me. I mean, honestly, and the feedback we've had from these, I can't thank you guys enough. I'm so happy that it's helped so many people. We always thought, and I always thought, that journals were so overcomplicated. They did not need to be. It should be something like that. So get ready with 2023 with the link in the description at Mulliganbrothers.com, where all the profits go back into creating this content. Thank you for watching, guys. Support us with the member button. Subscribe, like, comment, all that good stuff. Go follow me on Instagram at Jordan Mulliganbrother. But more important than any of all that, go inspire change yourself. You know, through your actions, through what you're doing, through your words, go inspire some change. Have a blessed and productive day, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.